That's right, turn away. Ring, 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 hello, simps and virgins.
I can't believe they eliminated Eureka.
Welcome back to Krown's magical C-word cave.
Oh my god.
Be extra nice to Krown because,
Well, welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today, as I have been for the past week, so I think today is going to have to be a bit more on the shorter side. I do appreciate all the well wishes. Look, it's probably not going to be anything worth talking about, to be honest with you. Feel like a little bit of a bitch to be complaining to begin with. You know, there's certainly worse things going on in the world, and I would like to say just a nice and healthy and happy welcome to all the people out there on this lovely little Thursday morning over here from a not so cold Helsinki, however very slippery and slidey Helsinki, Finland, as I navigate my way around this fucking icicles outside my damn house. Anyways, with that in mind, I do want to welcome all 800 people in here right now. 251 likes on the video, which is insane. I see Mr. Jason Pizzino, my simp brethren, is in here as well. Good morning to you, my friend. Definitely check out his channel. He is the man with his non-hopium induced analysis. I'm going to give you a little bit of hopium today, but you need a little bit of hopium to balance out what is the overall doomium that we've been experiencing for the past couple months here. So with all of that in mind, I see that we got a beautiful team of moderators here. What's up, Miss Nikki Page or Mrs. Nikki Page? I don't know. Ooh, what could it be? Philson, good morning to you as well. Rocky G, good to see you, my friend. Good to fucking see you. Crispiola, I see you over there. Not a mod, but all good. Sam, what's up, man? Welcome to the cave as well. Sean Waller, you too, sir, as well. Do we have anyone else that I recognize here as I scroll through some of the more recognizable names here? I see Nuke Tech. I say HD Not Lost. Neil Naralho, what's up, man? Holy shit! All right. Well, I think with that in mind, like I said, I do need to make this stream a little bit more on the shorter side today. I think we'll make it through like, hey, what's up, Johnny Button? Holy shit, man! It's been a long time. Mr. T, there he is. Gabor, what's up, brother? There he is, and Dan Alderlawn as well. It sounds like the place from Star Wars, right? Anyways, yeah, so I think this video is going to be a little bit more on the shorter side. So we'll try to get to as many super chats as we can, but I cannot make any promises today because I don't think I can commit to the full 2 hours. Maybe an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour. We'll see how things go. The coffee's going to carry me for right now, but with that in mind, I do want to let people know who are joining in right now that we still have the Jewel Light free until early February. So another I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks or whatever it is, which you can check out in the link in the description below, and that is going to vanish after that time, so definitely give it a look, as it's it's actually pretty fucking fun. So with all of that in mind, I want to let you also know that you can find the Krown Trading application, this application right in front of your very face right here, for free as well in the link description below at app.krowntrading.net. I know that some people are having some issues with reloading the UI or the interface right here. All you need to do, assuming that you are using one of the more well-known browsers like a Chrome, like a Firefox, like a Chrome or Firefox, or maybe an Edge as well, you know, the usual ones, essentially, do what's called a hard refresh, which is when you press Control, Shift, and R at the same time. And yes, now we actually do have mobile functionality as well. And so I think we are back on track with a bunch of new updates coming in soon enough as well here in the next month or 2 months. So a lot of cool stuff coming in here. In fact, we're actually gonna be able to open up and offer up, I think, like the full TradingView library into the app itself, which is gonna be super fucking cool. I don't want to put a time on that just yet. I understand that it's going to be a massive undertaking by our beautiful developers, of which they're probably sleeping right now if they know what's good for them, because it's late as all hell in their time of the world. But I just want to give people a bit of an insight as to where this app is heading, because there's a lot of new things coming on. And hey, there he is, Jason's video right there. Beautiful. The flip. It's the flip. Oh my fucking lord, it's the flip. Anyways, okay, so I want to record this analysis on Bitcoin here. I want to put this in the most succinct way possible, but succinct usually means about 20 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is, here we have Bitcoin versus the dollar over here, and the rally and the recovery off of our current lows at about $40,000, just below $40,000 to be fair, is well underway for the short and medium term. And yes, I do expect that this rally will continue until this happens, to reference the good old title right there. Anyways, what I'm talking about is essentially the fractal relationship that we're seeing between this bottom over here in the more recent times on Bitcoin at the $40,000 or so level versus this bottom over here that we saw over the summer. Now, from a price action standpoint, obviously there are a lot of similarities. I'll just quickly draw them out right now if I can. There we go. That would be this one right here, and that would be this one right here to be very, or actually, let me do a little bit of a bigger circle right there, because this one is certainly very much unconfirmed just yet. And I want to match this up with all the confirming factors that you would expect to see if the fractal is going to be legitimate to begin with, because a lot of the time, the biggest issue that I see with people talking about fractals is they basically just copy and paste what they want to see on price action. And then it's like Bitcoin back to $100,000 because this happened, which looked somewhat remotely similar to this, when realistically, yes, price action can be fractal, or it is fractal in a lot of ways. I mean, you have the same sort of psychology going on within the market, but ultimately that needs to be verified with tangible things, which typically you do find not just on price action, but also on supporting indicators as well, which is what I hope to do today. So in this case right here, we do see this first spike down, actually exactly on this green vertical line, where you do get that first spike down, and that would be akin to this area right here. Then Bitcoin spends about a month or so rallying back up and creating a daily range. That would be this area right here versus this area right here at about $52,000. And then, of course, comes back down and tests around that prior low. In fact, even making an ever so slightly lower low here on a wick basis, but not closing specifically below that 4th of December low, or in this case, the initial dump dildo, which I think was about 20th of May, 18th or 20th of May, whatever the hell it is. And I'm talking about this one right here. What happens after that, if this is going to play out? We do expect a rally, and I do expect that this current rally does continue on as the short-term validation conditions were met over the past few days here. So we've been marching targets up, taking it one step at a time, which I do think is the most relevant and reasonable way to be taking a recovery like this, because if it is going to recover from here, it's very likely going to take some time. And of course, what happens after that? You actually pop back up in exactly, or I believe exactly to the 0.5 Fibonacci here. No, actually, apologies. I am wrong on that. It's not the 0.5. It is actually the 382, as you can see, finding the highs alongside this range. So I'd be looking for some sort of a relationship like that if we go over here to our more recent iteration of this. So I'm going to take the low of this. Hey, no, I'm going to take the low of this if I can actually do it properly. Make sure that this is done properly as well. There we go. And draw it to the high, and there we go. We do see that 382 is coming in right around 47,500, which you can imagine that green 55 exponential moving average on the daily right here is going to start to curl down around that region, likely within the next week to 2 weeks, I would imagine. So Bitcoin very likely does put in a rally somewhere around that region. Yes, there will be stops and goes along the way, maybe even another retest of the lows in the interim, as you did kind of see over here. But ultimately, as you did see in this iteration right here, price action did slink back on over and test exactly around on a closing basis. That prior wick low did not close lower again, and that was your bear trap, as confirmed, getting back above the 618 right here. That was the earliest area where it was reasonable to say, hey, we have a macro bear trap going on right now, and that's exactly when we got very bullish on this channel, looking for first targets up to 40,000, and then things just continued onwards and to the moon, to new all-time highs, obviously. So in this case right here, Bitcoin again going to have stop and goes along the way. I imagine the daily 21 and somewhere between the daily 21 and the daily 20 simple moving average, which is going to be a little bit higher. I think it's actually right around $46,000 right now, is kind of the area that I'd be looking towards. Anywhere around there is a little bit of a precarious place, as you might say. And then I'd be looking for a bit of a choppy market, something like this. And if you see Bitcoin hang back down and really test around the lows without actually breaking them, that's going to be where I start to become a lot more interested in this, actually putting in potentially a macro low within this region. I do think that is kind of best case scenario here. The reason why I think it's best case scenario is because while Bitcoin can obviously do whatever the fuck it wants, obviously, it's low probability that we do see a V bottom out of this region. If we were going to see a V bottom, we would have seen it from the 4th of December low no later than January. And in this case, obviously, retesting that low is not going to be indicative of that. But here's the thing. What would make me 100% backtrack on that statement and immediately get extremely bullish on Bitcoin? In this case, it has to be the exact same as it was before, and that would be back above your daily range highs, the same criteria that we've been looking at for now over a month and a half at $52,000. As long as Bitcoin's below there, it's very difficult to be, super bullish on this asset, I would say, for the long term. Of course, short-term rallies, which can be, some big percentage moves, absolutely, definitely tradable, are great, but they don't necessarily fulfill that criteria. And in this case right here, what I'll also bring up is some indicators. So now I want to really match this up and create a narrative here. So first and foremost, I wouldn't say this is foremost, but this is just a big one for me right now, especially talking about the Jewel Light. is this read here, where we do see extreme reads at this level just below the critical zone on this indicator, which you can see we pretty much got exactly pretty much the exact read on, guess where, the 20th of fucking May, and that was Bitcoin's last major low right here. And to put that into even a greater proposition, we did see it first hit major extremes here on the all-time highs. Obviously, we saw the same thing over here. So a very fractal relationship in the way that that rally has been bringing Bitcoin to new highs and then coming back down for those macro higher lows. So just something to be aware of. On top of that, if we go over here into, of course, sentiment indicators, I want to once again talk about, of course, the fear and greed index, which I'll just blow up right here. Hey, stop that. Let me grab this one right there. There we go. And again, from a sentiment standpoint, which you would expect, you know, the psychology of a move like this to be more or less the same. I mean, people haven't fucking changed since we became anatomically modern Homo sapiens, which was like hundreds of thousands of years ago. If my like memory serves me correctly, I'm not exactly 100% sure about that. My point is that it's fucking deep ingrained in your goddamn brain, and we ain't getting away from it unless you're like some sort of enlightened monk living over in Tibet or something, at which point you probably, or Taiwan, oh shit, it's a country, and at that point you probably don't care about Bitcoin to begin with. But you can see over here from this area that we've been working on, very similar to what we saw over the summer, where you spent about 2.5 months within the extreme fearful zone. And by the way, we're still within the extremely fearful zone at about a 22 read. Yeah, that probably did change a little bit from yesterday to today, but ultimately we do expect this, you know, coming off this current low right here, to probably spend, you know, maybe at least a couple more weeks, maybe even another full month or month and a half within that region. And it's really not until we see price action follow through that this becomes validated from this perspective. But of course, I always want to say, when we're looking at something like this, you know, while it does give a well-rounded picture of what's going on, it is not in and of itself actionable. I really actually dislike sentiment indicators like this as a main driver. They have to be a secondary or tertiary thing in the way that I look at things, just to be 100% clear. I also want to show, of course, over here that the funny rates for Bitcoin are still very much negative, actually. In fact, they've been consistently negative over the last few days, I do believe, going back to when exactly it was this started. Yeah, for the last couple of days, actually, since the 11th. And even before then, we were seeing, you know, intermittent periods of negative rates. So these are not significantly negative rates, no, but it is negative 0.011%, and that is about the most negative that we've seen actually basically since back on over here. And you'll notice, if you're perceptive, that the summer we did see that initial spike down on that May dumpola, where we did see extremes on the funny rates, you know, on the negative side. We saw the same thing over here on December 4th, by the way, as well. That's what that big spike represents. And then it kind of marched its way upwards and onwards over time as Bitcoin did prove itself. We're getting the same thing right here as well. And on that second dumpola right here, where it retested that lows, you did get that next spike down. I think that that's what we're experiencing right here. So as long as those funny rates are negative, that does suggest that the more recent shorts are being more aggressive on price action, and those ones are at the mercy of the market, obviously. The greater shorts, I imagine that they're, you know, well in profit, and whilst they probably are going to consider taking profit coming off of a major region like this, we still want to see the greater global open interest come down a little bit more. At least I think so. I think that would be relevant to be looking for right here. Yes, we are actually seeing it regain about $500 million with a B from a couple of days ago, or actually about the 10th of January to where we're at right now. So ultimately, you know, I do think that this next move is probably not going to be the one that you're looking for. I do think that it continues a little bit higher, which we're going to talk about targets here once again on once we get to the shorter term timeframes. But for right now, I think that this is once again a bit of a cautionary signal saying, hey, you know, Bitcoin probably is resetting, and things, you know, things could very well work out within that way, but we're not there just yet. At least from a more statistically relevant historical perspective, no, we typically expect to see this come and correct down, you know, at minimum to like 11 billion after hitting extremes like this, of which we have seen 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 5 times within the last year, and there was actually another 6 iteration that was literally in January of last year as well, with the exact same interpretation of it. But basically, anytime it's gotten above 13 billion, we've corrected down. Price action has corrected at minimum 20%, and in some cases all the way up to like 50 to 60% over time. So I won't go through the whole rigmarole on that one again, because I think that I'm just boring the shit out of people with it right now. But you can definitely check that out on your own time. Also, over here on our secondary chart, I want to call this out as well, talking about a major relationship. And what I want to speak about is actually in reference to what Cosmic Whale sent me a while ago. So this chart right here is the PMAR, actually. I'll show you my settings just really quickly here, because I know I'm going to get a million fucking questions about this, and it's going to drive me crazy, but it's not a big deal, man. I understand. People just want to know, and I'm just I'm unreasonable sometimes in my response to do that. Anyways, looking at this right here, I do wanted to note that this trend line on the bottom and this trend line on the top have been catching a lot of the major lows and a lot of the major highs on any tests towards that. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've marked off these major regions. I'm actually going to get rid of the vertical bars are actually not all correct here. I did not prepare this beforehand, or at least I have it relevant for something else. But what I will do right now is prepare it exactly for this. So we can do that one right there. We'll move this one over for this one right here, of course. And then we don't need that one. And we do need this one, of course. And we do need this one right here. Actually, this one's going to be a little bit more like right around here. And you can see that based off of all of these not horizontal, but vertical bars, Bitcoin has been finding some pretty major lows along these regions, even going back all the way to, of course, the flu dump, of which I'm dealing with that right now. Or maybe I'm dealing with that right now. Maybe actually I have the real flu. Anyways, who the fuck knows, man? Doesn't matter. My point is that this has been rather consistent, not necessarily for getting it to the T, but it has been close enough. And when you're looking at something like this and matching up with the other things, close enough is good enough, especially when you start to confirm from another few, various factors. So again, I'll just leave that right there. And then on top of that, we actually will notice over here on the daily MACD, the old MACD's nuts chart is showing not just histogram bullish divergence, of which we do have 1, 2, 3 drives coming off the last few lows. And this goes all the way back, by the way, to late November lows right here at 54,000 to our more recent ones in December, and then of course the most recent ones here in January. We are getting higher lows on wrong pane. We are getting higher lows on the MACD histogram, and by the way, we're about to see a cross the upside confirmed potentially at earliest tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time with any sort of a closure above $43,000. And by the way, I'm sure I'm going to get a question about this. It's just CT MACD. You just type in the one at the top left there. It's 100% free. You can find it in the good old TradingView library. And yes, if that does happen, I am looking for a move, very likely back up somewhere around the 20 simple, which we did, or earlier I did say short-term targets, over the next, I don't know, week, maybe it might be something like that, is probably going to be somewhere around there, between there and the 21, of which the 21 on the daily over here, exponential that is going to be a little bit lower. Yeah, about 150 versus the 20 simple, which is about 45,500. And, a little bit of price action above there is fine. Again, I do not call this correction over at fucking minimum until Bitcoin's back above like 49,500, but preferably I'd really say $52,000 can be like the no questions asked, for the long term. This looks damn good. Until then, yeah, short term very likely does continue here. Bitcoin has actually finally regained the 9 exponential average for the first time since your last like somewhat rally attempt back on over here in December 21st. We did see once it actually regained it, it did get a nice move up, actually all the way to the top side Krown bands right there. I don't think that that's what's happening right here, but I do think a move towards the white 20 simple is rather likely on this, over this next week or two, let's say. On top of that, we did confirm several things over here on our stochastic momentum oscillator chart. We do see 2-day stochastic is going to be, did officially cross the upside and confirm yesterday upon closure, and that will be remaining with upside posturing as long as Bitcoin's closing above 41,350, which is, good. Daily is also going to be nice and vertical coming off the 40,650-ish region, which of course is building upon it below it on a shorter time frame relative to that, which is also of course good. 12-hour is definitely going to be there as well, I imagine. Indeed, it is fucking vertical above 40,750. That is also definitely good. And then the very short-term time frames like a 4-hour, 2-hour, and hourly are probably going to be a little more short-term corrective here, with the 4-hour turning down freshly, the bi-hourly turning down as well below 43,900, and hourly also having a bit of a reset, a little bit more of a healthy reset actually here at about 43,900. So very short-term time frames, now that we get into them, very likely are going to be trading a bit more sideways here, but sideways is good for the boo laws. What was the big bad area that we were looking for Bitcoin to take out yesterday that would actually, mean something for the medium-term time frames? That was right here actually, right around 43,700 or so. Actually, no, it was right here in fact, but still, nonetheless, Bitcoin did actually pull above it. And whilst there is a potential for failure, obviously, as there always going to be, it's non-zero probability. I mean, we're just talking about statistics at the end of the day here. I would be putting the odds on the favor of continuation here, maybe after another short-term pullback. Definitely possible. If we go down here to an hourly, things are actually still looking rather constructive, to be quite fair. I mean, this is just going to be another drive of hidden bullish divergence plus a drive, or not a drive, but very low volatility. I typically like that for at least one more try to the upside around that wick high, which is 44,400 or so. Personally speaking, I do think that Bitcoin is going to continue from that that region for what it's worth. The only way that I call this a little bit of a short-term failure with a pullback first, and maybe even some nastiness up to like a 6 hour, as I do believe we have. Yeah, we would have hidden bearish divergence if Bitcoin were to top out here, thus confirming a local high, which we're going to talk about how to confirm that on the shortest term time frame first here. And actually, we even have it potential on the 12 hour as well. How would you actually confirm that? I think bare minimum earliest you could actually confirm that would be below $43,000 on an hourly closure. As long as Bitcoin's above there, I do look for this asset. You know, all pullbacks should be higher lows. Short-term timeframes correct, while higher-term timeframes take over for the general trend, or not the general trend, but the general correction here. And then we get to play out our first, upside move after the big, bad, nasty red dildo party to the downside, right? So again, understand the order of operations. I really want to be hard-nosed with kind of what I'm saying, in the sense that I don't think that even if this is going to be the macro low, I don't think that Bitcoin's done here anytime soon. And while there probably is going to be a continuation of this rally, in fact, I'm looking for a continuation of this rally, like point blank period, over the next week and a half, to those critical numbers that we spoke about earlier. Until Bitcoin gets above one of those, the top end major regions, it's just not, this is just not a high quality play, at least the way that I look at things. I won't go over the hash ribbons indicator today because I think that we're already pretty deep into this video. But again, that would be another supporting factor that Bitcoin probably, or at least statistically speaking, is very likely to have put in lows, at least as, it could come a little bit lower, but the low would presumably be somewhere around $37,500 or $38,000. No less than that on a daily closing basis. As long as Bitcoin's kind of above there, that signal is still very much confirmed. I'll point you towards the weekend video where we spoke about the long-term analysis. Yeah, that's it. And then also I'll just bring up one of these damned things over here as well, and I'll just end on this. We briefly alluded to this one yesterday. I suppose it is relevant as well, and it does kind of round out the general picture here, especially, playing into the idea that yes, this does have a lot of similarities, especially with what we saw over the summer, and also major bottoms as well. And that would of course be the on-chain metrics, which if I can find over here, there it fucking is, found it. It's going to be showing on the, no, it's not going to be showing shit. It's going to be showing on the adjusted dormancy flow indicator here that we are within an area that has, been some pretty major macro lows in the past. In fact, it's actually only been macro lows in the past. The last time we saw it fired off was about $30,000. Of course, the time before that was a flu dump, actually at about, what was it, like $4,000 or $5,000. Time before that was 3,100, 2018, 2019 lows, cycle lows, by the way. The time before that was, of course, 2015 cycle lows. Time before that was your 2012 cycle lows as well. So all of those things kind of come into confluence with each other, and I do think that holds a little bit of weight. At the end of the day, though, I'm always very cautious when it comes to on-chain metrics, let's say, especially ones that I'm not going to finish that. This is not the day to finish that fucking sentence, I'll tell you that. So I'll just leave that right there. Ultimately, I do want to call this one out as well. The green 55, and I'll end on this. The green 55 on the weekly right here, that is really, really key for my long-term trend sort of analysis, specific to the weekly. And you see a very similar relationship here to what we saw again over the summer, where you actually even got a somewhat easy closure below the 55. No opens and closures, obviously, and of course, the most important thing still is actually closing below that first wick low right here, which we have not done specifically. Well, this is kind of a trappy situation where, you close ever so slightly below it, and then next week or the week after that, you bring it back above. That's going to start to look really, really good for really confirming a potential macro trap here. And until then, we should kind of play around with what this would likely look like. Do I have a fresh chart here? I guess I do, but I'm going to redraw it here just because why not? Basically, it's this, right? It's basically this. So we have our highs right there. We would have, presumably, if this does confirm as a low, we'd have our lows right here. Our lows are obviously coming in right around the 618 Fibonacci retracement. To actually do this properly, right there at about just above $40,000. So that would be, traditionally speaking, a nice area to be aware of. So hopefully that was helpful. I think I'll leave it there on Bitcoin. I don't think that we did speak enough about invalidation conditions here, just because, I do think that it's obviously relevant. Again, $43,000 would be concerning on the short-term timeframes, even an hourly closure below there. I'd probably be looking for another test back down to about 42 after that on the very short-term timeframes. Again, though, I do not call this low like destroyed or invalidated as long as you're closing daily dildos above the last wick low that we saw from, of course, that major dump dildo party that we saw in December 4th. So hopefully that was helpful. There you go for Bitcoin. And yeah, the rally probably continues from here over this next week and a half. Just keep those targets in mind and be wary. So there you go, sirs and zers. All right, cool, man. I'm going to go over here to the chats now. I'm going to turn on the alerts. But again, I do need to warn everyone. I do need to make this stream on the shorter side. So I do appreciate all the support here. Obviously, I mean, it's really overwhelming and cool to see. Again, massive gratitude for that. But unless if we shut them off, maybe in like shut them off in like 10 minutes, just because otherwise, if we don't do that, there's a chance that we don't make it to everyone. And I really don't think that I can do more than like, 30-40 minutes from right now, maybe not even that. So I'm going to start off with the first one here. It's Jake Anderson. He's looking at Ethereum Bitcoin 12-hour bull div. Let's see if that is first true, and then second, what would that imply? Where is my damn Ethereum Bitcoin? There it is. All right, looking at a 12-hour. First off, is there bullish divergence? Well, that's probably not going to work right there, but there is. Okay, I see what you're talking about on the very short term right here. If you're playing a bullish divergence call like that, which is a very slight drive, I think you've already hit your targets for that, man. But here's the thing, look, if Bitcoin, as long as Bitcoin recovers, you probably see this thing recover as well. Anyways, you're saying, does a 12-hour and 4-hour look good for continued short-term upside? 4-hour, that would be no, Ghost Rider, and 12-hour, I do think you already hit the easy move for that if you're looking to play that specific indication to begin with. But here's the thing, maybe after a little bit of a short-term time frame pullback on a 4-hour, which could come as low as like 7.5 million Satoshis, I would be looking for maybe one more try to the upside. In this case, the obvious target would be somewhere around about 7.8 million Satoshis. If you can start to close back above that region, which was your last major breakdown region, just from here, we're just playing the same areas as before, the same fucking areas that have been working for the last like 4 months on this goddamn thing, then I would be looking for this one to go for the full recovery over time. But you're talking about short term, I don't think that's maybe relevant to you. You're probably more like, when you're talking about short term, I'm thinking like an hourly and a 4-hour. And yeah, I do think that this one will likely drop down short term and try for a higher low, somewhere around about 7.6 to 7.5 million Satoshis. Then after that, I'd be looking for another try to the upside, assuming that Bitcoin continues as well. You probably see this one continue here too. But here's the thing, man, you are going to have naturally, I imagine, hidden bearish divergence all the way up to, actually, no, maybe not a 12-hour, maybe a 6-hour in this case. Yeah, you will have it all the way up to a 6-hour in this case. Going all the way back on over here. But again, it's not necessarily confirmed just yet. What would confirm it? Well, it would be a lot more damning to close below about 7.5 million Satoshis. So until then, pullback should be a higher low, and I would be looking for one more try higher at minimum. Then the question is, do you get above those critical regions? Pro speaking, I actually do think that is a setup to do exactly that, to be quite honest with you. The weekly is just corrected to the 21. I don't see that that's like problematic or anything like that. I just look at this as one macro consolidation still, actually, and just trudging its way upwards and onwards here. Higher term time frame still more or less good, and I think that it's probably relevant to say that you played out the majority, if not all, of this correction thus far already on the higher term time frame. I just don't know if that's relevant to you here or not. Ooh, my apologies. Anyways, Jack Hessman says, good morning, Krown. What's up, man? And thank you for that. I appreciate that. Matic, yeah, we can definitely check this one out. Probably worth recording as well. What's up? Yeah, close them in like 5-10 minutes or something like that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, Matic having a really good recovery here. Man, this is the one. This one plays so fucking technically. Here we have Polygon symbol Matic versus the dollar, requested by Mr. Jack Assman. We're looking at a general overview on this one, certainly the 4-hour and the daily in this case. We got our beautiful bounces, a little bit lower than what I was looking for here. I was saying about 195. This one got down to about 190 even. That's fine. However, and this is yet again another higher low with that hidden bullish divergence that we confirmed. I think this was like 3 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago on January 10th at the earliest. So now this one's actually even recovered above its medium-term time frame range, which is good. And while I would be looking for this one to continue, very likely from here actually on the short term, with next targets up to about $2.50, I really want to pull in this analysis with higher term timeframes, as this is still, among some of the best charts in cryptocurrency land, and I do look for this one to continue onwards and upwards over the next few months here. The question is this one ready for some busting action like today or tomorrow? Probably not. No, I think best you do to the upside is around 265 on like a mega move. Until then, short term, yeah, I do think has one more drive to the upside. What would invalidate that on a 4-hour closure? That would be below about 228, the same breakout area that we spoke about earlier. If that were to happen, I'd be looking for first to move down to about 210 to 205 region, but I don't really think that's what's going on right here. This is a very, very healthy sort of flag out formation above your broken range highs. So unless if you get a swing failure pattern here, which can definitely happen, but again, the the way to verify that is just the same area, 228. On even a shorter term time frame closure than this would be okay. I'm still just looking for this one to trade sideways and up from here, alongside Bitcoin as well. Again, on the hourly, just a slew of higher lows. We see it pull back into another higher low with hidden bullish divergence alongside low volatility. I'm always going to like that read, generally speaking, for the short term. Daily, I do think has a little bit more room here, but ultimately, what's more likely to happen over the next over the next like week and a half or so, I think at best you're going to do something like this, come back down, try for another higher low, and then do something like that. That would kind of be what I'd be looking for on this one, as we do see a lot of the more strong coins, of which Matic would certainly be that, do exactly that. So more recently, that is. So ultimately, the crux of my message is that I'm basically trying to say that no, I don't think it's going to be doing anything super interesting to the upside, like busting on to new all-time highs anytime soon. But I do think that going sideways within that region is going to be long-term constructive and obviously long-term good as well. Going over here into the momentum, also just want to see, daily stochastic is going to be upside momentum as long as above 195. That's pretty good. 2-day is still actually corrective down below 250, which is okay. Again, that does suggest that the longer-term timeframes probably not ready to bust on through just yet, as is the 5-day, and as certainly is the weekly, which is about freshly to cross down below 246 or so. Going over here to the 4-hour, I do see short-term timeframes having a little bit of a short-term correction, but that's okay. I still would be looking for one more try to the upside, very likely trade sideways after that, and then the setup is really like for the next month or two to come, I imagine. Anyways, I'll leave that one off right there, and hopefully that was helpful, sirs and zers. Again, general message here, I just see no reason to be bearish on this asset, especially as long as you're above, let's call it $2 or so on a daily closing basis, same basis before, and we can march it up just an ever so slight amount more. Lovely. All right, sweet. Let me scroll back up on over here. I think we got Murray Kerr next. He says, good morning. A humble request from a humble terp slurper. All good, sir. When looking at a 4-hour and daily, how do you work out price targets both for continuation and pullbacks? Your accuracy is spooky. I appreciate those sentiments, man. It doesn't really matter what time frame it is. All time frames are related to each other in the way that I look at analysis. But I just typically focus on the 4-hour and the daily because I think, for most people, they probably are looking at something like that, if I had to guess. Personally speaking, I actually don't really care too much what those time frames are doing for my own trading behavior. I actually trade the hourly mostly nowadays, and I do change around from time to time as well, but the hourly just seems kind of best bang for a buck. But how am I doing that? I'm just going off of the high probability plays that I've essentially, gotten from my own fucking backtesting, and then relaying them over here, and then making a relationship between that. That's all, man. That's really all that it is. And again, it really depends what your strategy is. So I'm always coming at this from my own preference and my own, background. That might not be relevant for some people, right? So while that is, it sounds like you're probably on the same page because, you're saying that it's accurate. Some other person might say that it's not accurate. Fair enough, man. He's just looking at something different most likely, and we're kind of talking past each other. But basically, there's a lot of things that go into it, much more than can be said on a stream like this, which unfortunately I do need to make a little bit shorter. But basically it just comes down to, I backtested pretty much all of my strategies till like in fuck infinity, and I have a pretty damn good idea of what they're statistically most likely to do. That doesn't mean they're always going to do that, but more often than not. So yeah. Anyways, HFIFM says Harmony 1 4-hour and daily. Okay, this is symbol 1 over here. I remember this one was one of the strong ones, a part of the phone tokens or whatever the hell they're called. Looking at this one, did we get our breakout? No, I wouldn't say just yet, but very close. Very, very close. Sorry, actually pretty fucking close there, man. No, I would say you did get your medium-term time frame breakout. Probably looking for this one to move its way up. Or this is fucking bizarre here as well. The old LARP line's at it again. Fucking showing that 37.5 cent move or so. I am looking for this one to pull back into a higher low here on the short-term time frames, like a 4-hour, as you did request. In fact, you might have already even gotten that. You already retested the 33 cent level. So you know what? I'd go as far as saying I'm actually looking for short-term sideways and up from this region. We already saw it close above this region right here on volume, so that is good. I'd really only look for a pullback then, I suppose. If you do close back down below 33 cents, targets down after that would be about 30.5 to 31 cents. And again, I'd just be looking for a higher low there. Daily is continuation, as is the 2-day. as is the 5-day, I'm guessing as well. Yeah, and it certainly is. So I'm looking for this one to very likely retest around its prior all-time highs, anywhere between about, what is this, like 39 to 40 cents. And then the same sort of implication here for the 40, what is this, like 41? No, 40 cent even region. Any sort of a daily closure above there. I'm looking for next target somewhere around 43 cents short term. More, a week or so after that, I'm probably looking for about 50 cents, and then very likely beyond over time. But again, among some of the better charts, in fact, maybe one of the best charts that we're probably going to see today. I wouldn't even say I'm bearish on this one, but I wouldn't be looking at this as a failed rally attempt, as long as you're especially above, I mean, for fuck's sake, like 30 cents at this point. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for one, sir. Actually, again, one of the better ones. What's up? All right, close them now. That'd probably be a good idea. This is going to get out of hand real fucking fast if we don't. All right, yeah, I got it right there. All right, let me just replace the pin message. Okay, sweet. Yeah, again, if you are just joining right now, I'm kind of nursing a bit of a flu or cold, or I don't even know what the fuck it is, man. Don't feel too good, as I haven't been for the past week. Again, I really appreciate the well wishes, but I do have to kind of curtail my own excitement for a stream today and shut it off, relatively soon. So we'll get through the super chats that are on the board right now, and then we'll have to wrap it up, babies. Anyways, Elijah Smith says, hello, good sir. Sol closed above its target on the daily you talked about yesterday. Is moved to 170 still valid? Okay, so it sounds like it validated above the, whoops, typing in 170. That's how loose I am today. Yeah, it did. This is good. Beautiful, actually. So let's record this one. Here we have Solana symbol SOL versus the dollar. This one did validate above our targets from yesterday, so that is good for the short and medium term timeframes, and very likely does imply continuation. I do see here on the 4 hour, you have a little bit of a short term swing high right around here. So I would be looking for a bit of a short term consolidation, not exactly right there, but somewhere down around here as a base at about $1.45, $1.46 region, and the ceiling back around about $1.55 in the short term. And then upon validation on even a 4 hour closure above 155, I would be looking for the next target to be met. Short term would be somewhere around the 21, which is about 160 or so. Very likely a short term pullback again there yet again. And then I'd be looking for very likely continuation in the following week and a half, somewhere back around your prior breakdown region, which is that 170 or so target that we spoke about before. Long term, best to the upside, I think it does, reasonably within the next couple weeks here is probably about $1.75 to $1.80. I'm still looking at this one as corrective, to be fair, as long as you're especially below about 190. Above 190, I would start to say the initial etchings of a long-term reversal are in play here. But for right now, coming off the lows. And again, sorry guys, we really can't get to those comments. I apologize. We really can't get to them, man. But looking at this right here, do we have any bullish evidence come off this lows? Yeah, we do. We have a little bit of bullish evidence right there coming off the lows, as we do have the jewel signal also popping up as well. The last time we saw this one, or something similar to this one, was actually December 2020, that is, way back on over here out of this low before going on a mega rally. I wouldn't necessarily say that the same thing's going to happen over here. A lot of work needs to be done first, of course, but going back into the short-term timeframes, I'd still be marching this one up, this one up just one leg at a time. Obviously, below 145 on a 4 hour closure, I would look for another correction back down just into the mid 130s. I don't think that's what's happening right here. And again, easier to watch whatever Bitcoin's doing, but basically, to kind of wrap this one up, short-term sideways above 145, 146 is great. I do think that you probably make another move and validate above that 155 region, initiating moves back up somewhere around, let's call it 170, with a short-term stop along the way. I think it was like $1.55. More like $1.60 or so, which may or may not be relevant to you. I'm not necessarily sure. You can also go check it out from this angle over here as well. I'm just curious to see what we're going to see. But looking at a daily and then the other higher term timeframes, yeah, freshly turning up off the lows with upside momentum above about 133 and a quarter. Again, I'm biased towards upside continuation here. 2-day hasn't even turned up just yet, even though we are within the midst of a medium term correction here. We'll start to turn up above 159, so that is also a little bit, I guess, somewhat comforting. 5-day still downside angled as long as below 170, and I think that kind of speaks for itself. So again, best it does to the upside in the next couple weeks here. I'm looking at about $1.70 or so, maybe a little bit higher than there, and then I'll be looking for this one to very likely pull back. And then if the Bull's going to take over, we're probably looking for higher lows somewhere around, kind of where we're at right now, perhaps at about 150. And if that happens, well, this is going to start to look a lot better. But for right now, still just corrective at best with likely bounce continuation here. Hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for that, sir. All right, cool, man. Let's see. I think we have Mr. Luke Faulkner Hall. What's up, brother? Hope hey, hope you're well. I'm hanging in there, man. Dusk USD on the hourly. Okay. Dusk USD right here on the hourly 4-day. Okay, off to all-time high. I don't know. I haven't looked at this one in a long time, but yeah, this is actually among some of the better charts that we're going to see today as well. I'm going to guess pretty much already at all-time highs and continuing on with the up and to the right rally, which is beautiful. Anyways, if you're on the shorter term time frames, which it sounds like you are, I probably would be looking for a short-term pullback somewhere around here. Anywhere down to like 80-cent low is fine. That's just another higher low, obviously. And I would be looking for a continuation, actually, on this rally after a bit of a short-term pullback. Or actually, would I be looking for that? No, hold on. Let's make sure that we actually get this one right. I would actually move this area down right here for a 4 hour and say, 90 cents is going to be kind of your consolidation range. So I actually would be looking for a bit of a pullback from here. Long term, do I think that it's going back to all-time highs? Very likely, yes. I mean, this is a really, really powerful bounce here on a 5-day. No, this is not a bullish engulfing, but it is pretty damn fucking powerful nonetheless. We don't necessarily have hidden bullish evidence as well, which would make this call a lot easier. But ultimately, I am looking for this one to very likely wedge its way back up towards its prior highs within this month, and then perhaps set it up for a good early February, maybe. Yeah, probably early middle of February, essentially here. Again, it's kind of hard to be looking for like sustained price action to the upside. As long as Bitcoin's still a bit more corrected. But on Bitcoin upside moves, this one very likely does overperform and look pretty damn well. By the way, daily does have that signature right here with the hidden bullish evidence. Now, we do not see very low volatility, nor do we see, or actually, no, we do see a decent jewel signal there as well. So short-term pullbacks very likely just lead towards higher lows and then continuation back around your 90-cent to $1 highs. I would not be calling any long-term continuation as long as you're closing daily dolders below about $1.05 in this case. If you were to do something like that, let's say, I guess we could plot some targets here, I guess. Although I don't think it's going to be relevant for a while, but I'd be looking somewhere between about $1.35 to $1.50 or so long term, in the following weeks after that validation. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for a dusk, sir. Might even write this one down as well, just to keep some tabs on it. Actually, right on over here. What's up? Hey, thank you for that, Michael Adrian. I appreciate that, man. I don't, I actually don't see it right there, but I do really appreciate that, man. I see that there's no message on it, but all good, man. And, major appreciation, brother. Let me pull back up on over here. We have Nuke Tech says, hey, man, appreciate that, brother. FTM 1 hour and daily. Yeah, this has been one of the ones to follow more recently, obviously. One of the better acting ones, of course. Anyways, let's see. Let me pull it up right on over here. And you're looking at an hourly and a daily. Daily, again, one of the better charts here. I actually would be looking for this one to very likely retest that 320 wick high. I'm actually going to record this one as well. Here we have phantom symbol FTM versus the dollar. We've been following up on this one for about a week now, or a couple weeks now, since it's really started showing relative strength within this market. We got our corrections down to 2.25, which we were looking for, and then targets back up towards that $3 high, of which we have hit, or phantom has hit, better said, yesterday. And well, this one's actually showing strength at a really powerful level here again. So I really, really like this setup where you do see hidden bullish evidence back in the bullish control zone on daily RSI on declining volatility. Look, I would still be waiting for the validation condition of 320 before I get super excited for the next move. But upon validation above there, I am looking for moves somewhere around $5, probably more than $5 over time. You're probably talking about like, I don't know, a couple weeks upon validation above there, something like that. Until then, daily jewel is actually showing that it's lost its downside curvature, which is actually quite powerful, especially at a region like this. Shorter term timeframes, as you did request, are still constructive here, but I would be expecting a pullback relatively soon, maybe after one more try to the upside. That try to the upside can come somewhere around maybe even that 315 to 320 high, and then I'd be looking for a pullback into no less than a higher low, no less than about 270 in this case. And at that point, I'd be looking for the move to actually try to push on through to new all-time highs in this case. I do want to check to see what stochastic momentum is suggesting over here, as we can look at the 5-day. The 5-day is going to be remain with upside momentum above 140, and then the weekly is just freshly crossing up and rejecting the bearish controls and above 174. I mean, that is it's very, very likely to bust on through. I would say, at latest this next couple weeks. If you don't see it bust on through to new highs within the next couple weeks, that's going to be a good signal that it's probably not going to work in this case. But ultimately, right now, I just don't see any reason to invalidate a setup like this, especially as long as you're above about 240 in this case on a daily closing basis, which we've been slowly marching up as this one proves itself. And again, among some of the best charts that we've seen. But I do express a bit of caution in the short-term timeframes here. Maybe after one more try to the upside, we are working off of extreme conditions on the 4-hour BBWP, and 4-hour RSI will naturally have regular bearish divergence, although it's not there just yet, to be fair. So I'd still be a little bit more cautious in the short term, but it is very good, set up for the next couple weeks to come. Hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Phantom. Nice one, man. Let's see. Mati says, how does Bitcoin get another blue buy signal on the hash ribbons? That is not how it fucking works. You have to get a capitulation signal first. Please read the details in the indicator itself. Otherwise, you will not know what the hell you're looking at, and you will make no offense comments like that, which that's not how the indicator works. Does it need to drop lower to get a capitulation? That's exactly what needs to happen. Yes, and again, you don't need to get a capitulation. I mean, you need to get a capitulation in order to get a fresh new blue buy signal after getting a prior blue buy signal, but you don't need to have that in order to make continuation on this rally. So I think we might be talking past each other a little bit here. But yeah, I feel like you're probably looking for that as a next signal, which obviously would be a good signal, but you don't need that actually. You actually don't need that. So fair enough. If we get another capitulation signal, then yes, obviously it's going to be quite important to see the next buy signal, obviously. But until then, the prior one's still active, and Bitcoin can obviously get continuation from there. I mean, we've seen those signals be active for years at I think like a year or two at a time in the past. So it's not like it has an expiration date necessarily. It's just based off of the actual data on that indicator itself. Sapient Meal says, "Bonjour, Mr. Krown. What's up, sir? Good old poop coin dust. Yep, we already got that one, so all good there." Mr. Zam says, "Good day, kind sirs. What's up, man? Some lime and ginger a day keeps the nasty symptoms at bay." Actually, yeah, that would be very much needed today. Fuck, you just mentioned what I completely forgot to talk about in my opening morning ceremonies. Ah, man, should have read this comment earlier. My apologies. No, I don't want tea right now. I'll make some after. This damn video here. Anyways, looking at the daily on Dixie. Fuck, this was gonna play into the analysis perfectly. I even wrote it down and I completely fucking whiffed on this one. But yeah, Dixie putting in obviously a local high on the weekly and getting its first major pullback. We're even pulling back below our weekly range lows right now, or not necessarily a weekly range lows. I think that's daily range lows. Yeah, it is daily range lows. So I do look at this as an active breakdown actually, and very likely to get more continuation to the south side with targets down a little bit further south, somewhere around about 94.25 to 94.5, which was our pullback targets coming into January, which we're finally getting now. There will be bounces along the way, namely at about 94.75 or so. But ultimately, I do think that this one will correct down somewhere around low 94 before we do see potentially another higher low, or at minimum a big bounce. And in this case, that's obviously going to be, I wouldn't say it's obviously, but it's likely to benefit Bitcoin. Again, these things don't have a direct relationship. Dixie is just the dollar's value relative to a basket of other fiat currencies. And that just means like who's printing more between Europe and the US, because the euro makes up like 50% of that basket, I believe, or a little bit more than 50% of that basket. So we're getting our first major high right here. Yep, pullback to be expected. Monthly is a little bit more in a precarious place, which could make me look at this as maybe a swing failure pattern, but swing failure pattern is just not a topic of conversation as a validation, as long as we're above about basically 94. So closing below 94 on a higher term time frame, that will start to validate this as a swing failure pattern. And at that point, I would be looking for this one to come back down to our 2021 lows, which would be really, really good for the boo loss presumably. But when you start to look at the higher term timeframes here, I do think that this is a bit more sombering of a take on this on the quarterly, of course, as you do see it. It's got an obvious base here at that low 94 region. There should be a big bounce around that region at minimum, and this is unlikely to have just shattered the fucking floor anytime soon, as is the 6 month, which I think is really sombering right here as well. It's like, yeah, the pullback likely continues, but wouldn't be calling a reversal here just yet, man. At minimum, it would take until let's say everything went fucking perfectly. I'd say at minimum it probably takes until probably at minimum until like Q3 of this year, and that's a lot of hopium as well. But still, please understand that just because Dixie going up doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin or your favorite risk on assets are going to go down. Again, that relationship is massively misunderstood by a lot of people in this market, at least from my gleamings over social medias especially. And we've actually seen periods where both rally with each other, to be fair. All right, cool. Matthew says, I'm Craven Moorhead here from Canada. What the fuck does that mean? What does that even mean, man? Clima Dow on the daily and hourly. Where the fuck do you find this thing? Clima. Funnily enough, it's crazy. You might not believe this, but it's not on TradingView. Unless if it's here. Let me just try this little trick. It's not on there either, man. Unfortunately, no Clima is on the good old TradingView, and unfortunately, we are limited to what TradingView actually does host. So it would be a good idea to check, just in case TradingView actually has these things. But I'm gonna guess it's probably very, 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 very new, of which you can't expect it to be on TradingView. And also, if it's very new, I'm not gonna have a good idea on it anyways. I need price action history to really be looking at anything that kind of matters. Anyways, Leo YouTube is next. Says, Hola Krown, good morning. Can you show results of your backtest of one of your strategies? I could. I'm not sure why I would just do that for him. Man, you ask the most aggressive questions, man. You can always just backtest yourself, but I don't think that that's relevant to be doing right now, to be honest with you, man. And of course, any strategy can be played so many different ways, man. But I don't know. Should I just quickly fat flash one just to make you happy? Sure, man. I'll do this right here. Get ready to fucking screen capture, you asshole. Anyways, I'll just briefly show this right here because I imagine some people might be actually interested in this, of like just the actual data that I write down. But basically, this is what I'm writing down. I write down my entry, exit, I have to do it like this because I don't actually know how to use Excel, but basically my P&L, and then I have to correct it because I don't know actually how to fucking do it properly, so it just does that automatically. Then I do my percentage gain and loss, which I also need to correct. Then I record whether it's a win or loss, and then long or short with daily trend. What's the daily trend basically? Is there a continuation divergence, which is relevant for this strategy that I'm testing right here, which is basically the hourly crown cross. And then I record all of the time that it takes for a win, and then all the time that it takes for a loss, and then I average all of those out and then look at them over time. So yeah, there you go. And this one actually, funnily enough, like pretty fucking good. When I actually looked at the average P&L, it's like 400, or sorry, this is not an hourly, this is a 30-minute right here, but 428 average P&L for that strategy on a 30-minute time frame. I mean, that's pretty fucking good. So I was quite happy with that one. I was actually quite surprised by that one too. I was expecting worse results, to be honest with you. Anyways, Vince says Rose USD, 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily will hit 60 cents by the end of the week. I don't know. Do you have rent to pay? You can never really know, man. Probably. Look, I don't know about end of week. I think it's certainly going to hit there. I wouldn't say certainly, but extremely likely to hit there within the next week or two. I mean, this is continuation, man. This is, again, among some of the better charts that we've seen around cryptocurrency land. I'm guessing that we have another drive of, oh no, we actually don't have another drive of hidden bullish evidence, but we do have a bullish engulfing. This correction is coming on declining volatility yet again. All momentum also is pointing northwards on higher term time frames. Very, very likely to continue up around there. You're going to see some pullbacks in between. Absolutely, yes. But for right now, very fucking good. You are hitting extremes here on the 4 hour, and you will have bearish divergence present if this one does start to close back down below 46 cents. But again, long term over the next few weeks here, very likely to hit around that target. I don't know about end of week though. I also don't necessarily know why that needs to be relevant, but this one very likely continues through 60 cents, to be honest with you. Probably looking at like 70 cents before the next major stop, in my opinion, but fair enough, man. Yeah, just kind of go over that one very, very quickly there. Let's see. We have Mr. Tuggy Pepinex says, thanks for the show. No problem, man. Cardano on the hourly, 4 hour, and daily. Oh, dear Lord, man. You must be new here. You must be new here with shitty requests like this, man. Sorry. I can't help myself, man. I don't mean to degrade your favorite token here, but this has got to be one of the weakest ones of the weakest ones. But hey, it's played out our short-term moves here. You can't stop me from super chatting. Again, I do appreciate that, man. I do appreciate the support, but again, I just don't want anyone else to be inclined to send a super chat because we won't be able to really read it. I really want to make sure the stream ends actually rather soon. My voice is starting to really feel it. Anyways, you're on the 1, 4, and daily. Jesus Christ, man, like every goddamn time frame. Let's see, 4 hour, putting in a little bit of hidden bearish divergence here between this high and this high. I'm gonna guess it's a little bit more appropriate on 6 hour. Indeed it is. So short term, very likely does pull back a little bit. Pullback targets can be anywhere around about buck and a quarter to all the way down to about $1.22 in this case. I'd actually still be looking for upside continuation as long as you're above $1.22. So pullbacks around there are fine. as you kind of work off extreme conditions right here and kind of play out those divergence calls. And then I'd be looking really for Bitcoin to kind of take the next leg. And if Bitcoin does take the next leg up, I'm looking for Cardurpio to work its way up towards about a $1.44, $1.45 region. I still have no reason to call this correction over, or even like, it's not a correction over, it's like just a potential reversal as long as you're below the last rejective high at 162. But yeah, I do think that the rally very likely does continue from here after a short-term pullback. You know, this one got beat up so bad to the downside without any real bounces for about 3-4 months now. 1, 2, 3, 4, actually I'm working on 5. I think you're about to see your first major bounce here. And per speaking, I actually do think that this one is going to work its way back up towards, you know, $2 plus in the next couple months. But it's just a hard chart to love very long term because, you know, it's just, well, it looks like this. This is the problem. So yeah, man. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful, man. Crypto Med says Sand 4 on daily. And yeah, we can check this one out. We haven't looked at Sand in a while. This is one of the MetaDerp tokens, right? Let's see. Okay, played off our bottom level quite well. This one still plays rather technically. I do like how it's regained the daily 55, and I actually would be looking for this one, you know, maybe pulls back a little bit more towards 480 to 485 region. That's fine. I'd actually still be looking at this one as likely to push on through after maybe a short-term pullback. Your next validation for upside continuation is going to be back above on a 4-hour closing base about 528 with targets back up very likely around, not this area right here. I'm going to guess this is probably the median of your range. Let me just double check. Just want to see. No, it's actually the 382 in this case. That would be about 569 or so. Upon that validation above there, this one's actually starting to look like it's maybe nearing completion long term of this consolidation. I still want to see BBWP work its way down yet again, but you know, I want to follow up on this chart just in general because this can be a really good insight into, you know, how long these things can kind of take sometimes. So on a daily, when you see 2 strikes of major extremes on BBWP, you know, you're going to spend at minimum another couple months, probably even a little bit more than that, correcting at best, which this one is. And actually do look at this one as, you know, it's really starting to perform and hold the range rather well. So I'm starting to look at this one as very likely to bust on through maybe over the next couple weeks here. Still, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like ready to, you know, make new all-time highs. The critical region to be aware of is about 680 in this case, but something like this would be relevant, and then maybe gives a try to the upside perhaps around you know, middle of February or so. That would look about right. So this one is acting basically in the way that you'd be expecting during a healthy correction, albeit with really massive ranges here. But that, you know, that's just the nature of the beast when you're trading a altcoin. 50% downs, and you know, it's just par for the course, I suppose. But so far so good. This one's actually doing what it needs to do, which is a good sign. Okay, cool. We got Jack Law next. He's looking at Atom. Yeah, I know that this was, or at least this was one of the strong ones last week. We haven't looked at it basically since. So where is this one? Yeah, still one of the strong ones, actually. Very similar to Phantom, in fact. Retested the prior highs right around that $44.50 region. Just want to see a daily closure above there, and I'm looking for next target up towards $50, and then more long-term, looking for like 60 to 65 or so. Still looks pretty damn good here. I'd really only invalidate this one if you do pop back down below and close a daily below about $35. Until then, short-term timeframes, yeah, very likely pull back a little bit more here, maybe around $38 is completely fine. Ultimately, higher term timeframes are taking over here, and this one very likely does continue on over the next couple weeks to new highs. In fact, just looking at the weekly, I really like this read. You actually even potentially could create a bullish engulfing on the weekly if you do close basically above 45.70, but you know, it doesn't necessarily need to happen this week. If that happens this week or next week, that's going to look really, really good for that next move up over the next, you know, let's say month to $70, maybe even more over time. Not bad, man. Thank you for those good vibes, Mr. Sean Waller. Appreciate it, sir. XCAD says Ben0613. Okay, XCAD. We haven't looked at this one in a very long time now. What the hell's going on with this one? Not bad, man. Actually consolidating at a very high level. This is strong. This one's actually relatively strong. In fact, a very good. I was not expecting to see this shit at all. What the fuck? I mean, you basically have, let's see. You basically have this going on, right? I mean, it's just, this is actually quite good. This is, again, among some of the better charts that we've seen today. And I would be looking for short-term continuation to about $7.50. Probably does give you another test of your top side trend line here at about $8.50 within the next couple weeks. I'd still want to see an actual closure above there to call a breakout, in this case with major targets up towards like, you know, $10, $11, and then probably continuation over time from there. But for right now, a very easy setup at the same time as well. You know, as long as you're holding this last higher low here at 617, I mean, it's generally bullish here. It's been acting among some of the better ones that we're probably going to see, you know, that we're probably going to see. Even short-term time frames are continuation right now. You just got a 4-hour bullish engulfing. I'm probably looking for short-term back up to 7.25, maybe even 750. So actually among the best, maybe even one of the best today from today. Gemini athlete. All right. Gotcha, man. Got you. Okay. All right. Ren, this will be the last one of the day. Let's see. Oops, that's not how you spell Ren. What's up, Joseph Valkov? All good, man. All good, brother. Okay, Ren 4-hour and daily. Okay, definitely not one of the strongest that we've seen today, I'll tell you that. But, you know, if Bitcoin continues here, do you expect this one to continue as well? Very likely, yes. Probably around about 53 cents. Where do I get? Yeah, I would not front run anything more than that on this one. It's very relatively weak, but any sort of a 4-hour closure above about 52.5 cents, and I would start to march targets back up around your last sort of major breakdown, which was about 59 to 60 cents or so. Again, this one has a lot of work to do compared to a lot of the other charts we've seen today. But look, as long as Bitcoin recovers, this one very, very likely recovers as well, just on a weaker sort of relationship. So probably looking at those targets, and then I would really not call any major correction over as long as you're below the 0.5 here at about 66 cents, preferably on a higher term time frame closing basis, like a weekly perhaps. At that point, you know, probably looking at moves back up towards $1. And, you know, to be fair, I mean, you do have something like this going on, admittedly, you know, where you are getting these higher lows, but that's completely dependent on Bitcoin strength. So if Bitcoin does fail, or if Bitcoin comes back down and retests this low, this thing probably tries for another low as well. Anyways, I think that is going to do it. All right, we'll do one last one for fucking Nimbo. All right, Mr. Nimbo, last one, sir. Last one, you bastard. All right, Russell 2000 over here for my good friend, Mr. Nimbo. Don't know what time frames you're looking at, but I'm probably looking for... I'm still looking at this one as just one massive range here. I'm guessing you're on higher term time frames as you typically are. You know, it's hard to be bearish above 2100, hard to be bullish below 2360. It's called a rectangle, and these actually do have a really, really good history. In fact, monthly tells me that I should be a little bit more on the bullish side long term, but I don't really feel too strongly about that, to be honest with you. Below 2100, big fucking problems. What's the short term looking like? Are we more likely to rally here or fall back down? More likely to fall back down and retest around 2100 or so. Do you break below 2100 on could we use a daily? Yeah, you could use a daily probably. Maybe a little bit lower than that on a daily. About 2080 on a daily would do it, or 2100 on a weekly. If one of those two factors is hit, I'm looking for big red dildos down to, you know, just below 2000 probably over time. Until then, you know, I think that this is actually a corrective range right here. All right, cool. I think that's it, sirs and sirs. I need to go get a fucking corona test. Is what I need to get. It's ridiculous, man. This fucking thing got me, man. This fucking thing got me. I should have worn my mask. Anyways, I'm going to I'm gonna be signing off now. I want to thank all of our lovely moderators for joining in. I want to thank everyone for joining in as well. It's been a nice short day today, but unfortunately that's all that it can be. So I'm gonna be signing off now. I want to wish everyone well. Take it easy. Take it nicely. Have a good Thursday. Is it Thursday? Whatever. The 13th of January. Have a good 13th of January. Signing off now. Take care, and until next time.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it,